Welcome to these instructional step-by-step cooking videos. I cut no corners and I show you every step in detail. See my mistakes as well as the successes. Join me as we turn simple ingredients into delicious food. Today we're going to be making crumpets. So I think crumpets are a treat any time of the day, but particularly at breakfast time. They're, I think, an English classic, and this is the first time I've made crumpets, so you can join along with me, see my mistakes, see my successes, and I don't think they look too bad. They're a nice colour. They feel like a crumpet does. They've got that spring to them. And really, they weren't that difficult. You just got to be a little bit patient because there is a 2-hour resting time, 2-hour waiting time in between you mixing the batter and cooking them. But I think if you were to eat these with some butter straight from the griddle, they would be fabulous. But I'm going to be eating these tomorrow morning. So let's get started. Let's make some fantastic crumpets from some really simple ingredients. This is the first time I've made this recipe, crumpets, Paul Hollywood's crumpets. So usually when I do a recipe for the first time, I follow the procedure and the ingredients exactly. I don't modify it at all. If you've watched a few of my videos in the past, you'll hear me comment occasionally that I've changed this for that because I don't like it, or I've increased the amount of salt, for example, because they tasted a little bit bland to me. But in this case, I'm not going to do that at all. I will be following this recipe as close as I possibly can. The only thing that I am going to vary slightly is the sugar. The recipe calls for caster sugar. I think modern white granulated sugar is so fine, it works perfectly well. The purpose of the sugar in this case is purely to give some fuel for the yeast. So when we beat that with the milk and the water, it's going to be fine. So this recipe will be exactly the same as Paul Hollywood has written. Into a large bowl, we're going to add 450 grams of plain flour. 450 grams is 16 ounces or 1 pound. We're then going to add 14 grams of instant yeast. 14 grams is half an ounce. And then this is where we need to do our measurements accurately. As I say, we're going to follow the recipe as close as we can. So now we have to add 1 teaspoon of sugar. So with these scoops, it's 1 level teaspoon. And for now, I'm adding those to separate parts of the bowl. It's not the same as with salt and yeast, but still better safe than sorry. Next, we take a large pan and we add 350 millilitres of skimmed milk. 350 millilitres is 12 fluid ounces. And we put that onto a medium heat, and we need to watch the temperature. We need to heat it up to 37 degrees Celsius. I will put in the recipe at the end what that is in Fahrenheit. And to that we add 350 millilitres or 14 fluid ounces of cold water. And then that we add to our flour, sugar and yeast, and we beat that together till all the lumps have gone to make a smooth batter. Maybe a minute. There we are. That's I would say a smooth batter. Now it does say that the batter will rise and double in size. So I think I might have underestimated the volume I was going to have. So I'm going to transfer this to a bigger bowl. So it might be okay, but I don't want it to overflow and make a mess and lose some of the batter, so I'm just going to put this into a bigger bowl. I guess I could have heard it. You're going to need a bigger bowl. There we go. That's got plenty of room to grow. That's the batter made. This needs to now be covered with a tea towel and put into a warm place for 2 hours. Now again, looking at the recipe, it doesn't say a minimum of 2 hours, it's explicitly 2 hours. So we're going to set a timer. Alexa, set a timer for 2 hours.
2 hours, starting now.
So there we are, that's our 2 hours up. Let's have a look. We should have doubled in size. Wow, okay. It's a good job I changed the dish, the mixing bowl. Yeah, we're absolutely at least doubled in size, if not more. So I think if we'd have left it in the small mixing bowl, we would have had a spillage, or at least a worse state on our tea towel. So the next thing we need to do is add a half a teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of salt. So we need to go as accurate as possible again. So this is baking soda or bicarbonate of soda. It wants to be a half a teaspoon. And then 1 teaspoon of salt. Now we beat this together again, so that falls away straight away. And you want to make sure that you mix all that salt and bicarb that you've just put in, mix that in there well. We're not whisking this really. I could be doing this with a wooden spoon. I don't have to do it with a whisk. I just find it easier to remove the lumps. And so I'm not really beating it or whipping it like I would be if I was mixing cream, but it's good for turning this over. So I would say this is beaten together. So once you're happy that you've mixed or beaten all your salt and bicarbonate of soda in there, you leave it for 10 minutes. And while you are letting your batter rest, you need to prepare your cooking surface. So we are going to use crumpet rings to form these. These are the only specialised equipment that you need really. I've only just bought these. I didn't have any before. They're even in the US they're called crumpet rings. They were available on Amazon. I've got a set of 6 stainless steel ones. And I bought the large size. I shouldn't have done really. I think we got the wrong size. So these are just over 4 inches or 10 centimetres in diameter. There were some that were closer to 3 inches. I think they would be the normal size crumpet rings. But not to worry, we're going to have large crumpets, so it's not the end of the world. So what you need to do while your 10 minutes is waiting, while you're waiting for your batter to rest, is to take a little bit of kitchen paper, kitchen towel, and you want to rub the inside of these crumpet rings. And we're also going to need something like a heavy bottomed frying pan or or a skillet. I'm going to use this cast iron pan. The reason I'm choosing this cast iron pan is because we're going to cook these slowly, and if you have a lightweight aluminium pan, for example, that would get hot spots, some are going to cook a little bit quicker. I do have a skillet that fits, a griddle, sorry, that fits on this large burner in the middle, but the middle of it gets much hotter than the edges. So with a cast iron pan, it will distribute the heat much better. And so when we cook these low and slow, we're going to get a more of an even cook. We don't want to burn the bottom of these crumpets before we actually get to turn them over. So I'm choosing cast iron. If you don't have a cast iron pan, the heaviest pan that you can get, and you want to oil that as well, because obviously we don't want these things to stick. So when your 10 minutes is up and we're ready to start cooking, you want to take as many rings as you can fit on your griddle. In the book it says 4, but I can only fit 3 on. I think if I would have got the smaller size, I would have got 4 on, and over a low heat. So I started that fairly high just to put some heat into it, but I've turned that down quite low now. I'll try and get it central so that the heat is evenly distributed. We're asked to put enough batter in to half fill the crumpet ring. That's the word I'm looking for. Half fill the crumpet ring. So it's a bit of a guess. It's just less than half a ladle. It's quite sticky. Trying to not make a mess. It's fairly well behaved. I'll put this back over here for now, and I'm just going to gently. No, it seems to be settling out actually. I don't think it probably doesn't need my help. Okay. I'm just going to move that away from the heat. And we're to cook these for 6 to 8 minutes. I've maybe slightly overfilled these. It says halfway. I'm perhaps a little bit over halfway. So 6 to 8 minutes. So we're 351 when I put them in. So 3:59 we should be in a position where we can remove, hopefully, the ring. As I say, I've never made these before, so I don't know how these rings are going to work. Hopefully that they're easy to release. I've got a feeling that the batter, looking at the way it's stuck to the ladle, I've got a feeling that it probably is going to stick to those rings. So we may have to use a knife just to persuade them to release. So let's see what those look like in another 7 minutes time. So here we are, we're 8 minutes in, and I have just reread the instructions, and it says 6 to 8 minutes or until the crumpet is cooked and set on top. And you can see here, hopefully, that it's just starting to turn. We've gone from wet batter to cooked crumpet. So I think we need to wait a little bit longer. These are a little bit larger, so yeah, I think if we turn those out now, we're just going to lose the shape. So I'm just going to be patient. Okay, so I've just had a little look underneath of this one, and you can see there it's I would say that is brown. I won't want to go any further, so I'm going to try to turn these over and then turn them out. Not going to be the easiest thing to do, but so I've already run a knife around the edges of this one. I would not recommend these rings. I've had to wash these, the batter stuck to them. These were $16 for 6. I chose them because they're the slightly larger size. I should have gone for the smaller 3.5-inch ones that were non-stick. So I probably won't use these again. These are going to get a 1-star Amazon review.